these after about 50 minutes of streaming, and I might have just called it a day, but we had a lot of folks here that had a lot of questions and things they wanted to chat about, and I didn't get to anything like all of them, and so I thought I'd pop back in and try to chat with you guys for at least a few more minutes. And I hope you guys heard everything I just said. It's really difficult right now with OBS to tell when you're actually broadcasting at the beginning. I really don't like this new update. But anyway, but then I tried the stream again a few times, and every time it would look like I was broadcasting for a while, and then I would get a window that said that I wasn't connecting to YouTube. But now it looks like we're doing okay. TH1 just showed up again, and it's not giving me that message yet that says that we're broadcasting but not connected to YouTube, which to me means we're not broadcasting. But anyway, so right now looks like it's just me and TH1. Hello, TH1. It's good to see you. Thanks, buddy. He says, I'm here for you. And that's so nice of you. There is Mad Pie's Nest Productions. Hey, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for popping in. Seen The Mandalorian yet? Yes, I have. I just caught up tonight. I just watched the 4th episode. I love it. It's so good. There's almost nothing I would change about it. I love the pacing. I love the kind of samurai western feel. I love the simplicity of it and the minimalism, but I love also how extremely cinematic it is and how it feels like I'm watching a Star Wars movie every week. The Mandalorian himself is already a really interesting and kind of likable character, and he's got some moral ambiguity, but you can kind of appreciate where he's coming from, and I don't know, it's a really stylish, cool show. I'm loving it. Madman says there's other streams. Let me go check and make sure that I don't have any other public recorded streams. It'll just take me a minute, guys, but I'm glad that we are back in business here. It's good to see everybody. I had some super chats I didn't get to, so if you left a super chat, don't feel the need to leave another super chat. Just leave a comment and let me know what your super cat question was. And everybody just give me a minute to get to the videos here and see if there's anything live that shouldn't be live. Yeah, it looks like there is, so let me take a look at that. Somebody thumbed up this, 3-second show. So nice of you. Show No Mercy fam, remember that Bible Man video that you did a blind commentary on? We did that at least twice, actually. Maybe we did 3 of those? So I'm deleting this one because that did... Okay, so it looks like at least one of these was actually broadcasting and I could have just kept going, but OBS told me that it wasn't working. So anyway, Divid22 was $2 super chat. Thank you. Cap, I know how you could be more edgy. Smoke live. Well, that's true. I could do that. But I've never smoked, and I don't want lung cancer. There's already a possibility that I have some kind of kidney issue. So I had that kidney stone, right? And I got, just full disclosure, I got a scan on my kidney looking for the kidney stone, and they also found something, and the doctor didn't know what it was, and he didn't recognize it, and so nobody freak out or anything, but apparently it could be cancerous, but we don't know, and I'm not getting an MRI until February, so I'm not going to know until then what exactly it is. So there is a possibility I have kidney cancer, apparently. He says it's really easily operable if that is the case. I hope it's not. I hope I don't have to have a piece of my kidney taken out, but it's good to know that even if that is what it is, it's not life-threatening. Apparently, I guess anything can happen, but he says it's probably not, so that's good. And then, if I get that taken out, I guess I can say I'm a cancer survivor. So yay. But yeah, so I don't want lung cancer on top of the kidney cancer I could also maybe have. I don't know. But also a secondhand smoke in your house, and I don't want to get my comics messed up, and I would have to do it here in the bunker. I don't want to smoke in the bunker. So yeah, Shadow Mercy also says it would be super bizarre to see Cap do a superhero rewind on Bible Man. It could happen. I may eventually do that. I've kicked it around. AFC Comics, hey Cap, do you think the Batman title is problematic since there's already a show with the same title? No, not really. Because, totally I'm sure it's going to be a very, very different thing. And I mean, we've had, a lot of things with particular Batman titles. There's only, so many things you can do with it. I don't mind that. I do think it's really funny that every time we reboot now, it seems like we have to put the in the title. We're doing this with the Batman. We're doing it with the Suicide Squad. I joked the other day that we should have the Man of Steel. Yeah, so let's scroll up a little bit. If you had a comment from earlier that I didn't get to, feel free to put it back in, and I'll talk about it. I don't have any of the comments from before because that stream disappeared, and I don't have any way to deal with that. And let me also just warn everybody, there's a possibility this will break down again. At the bottom of OBS, it's telling me that there's dropped frames detected, and when it did that earlier, eventually that turned into, and now the stream is messed up. So let me just go ahead and say goodbye now in case that happens. Hopefully it doesn't, but if the stream fails, I'm not going to come back again. I'm not going to keep doing that. So I don't know what's going on right now. My connection seems fine. I think this is an OBS issue. I'm not sure. But if it is connection issues, hopefully I can get that fixed soon. I got a signal booster, and I tried to install that the other day and could not get it to work right, but I didn't have a lot of time to work with it, so hopefully I can make that happen. And I need something down here to boost the signal because it's a big house and I'm not anywhere near where the router is, so it's been lucky that we've had as clear a streams as we have, but that's part of why I've had lag issues with Danny and stuff. So Mark Guerrero, what are your thoughts on adaptations changing characters' race or gender instead of creating new characters? As I've said before, that is always a case-by-case issue for me. The reason very often we don't create new characters is for the same reason that we reboot all the time, right? It's brand recognition, it's name recognition. The worry is if we just create instead of making a female version of a character or a minority version of a character, we actually create something brand new, we might not be able to get it traction. So in a world where we feel the need, and this doesn't even always work, of course, but where we feel the need to go in and create the same thing again because more people will see a thing because we've heard it, very often that's the reason we don't create new characters also. So if we always put art in front of the business, then that would be happening, but it also is a business and it's expensive business, so it's complicated. But as far as each particular thing, like, I'm not going to say you should never gender bend, you should never race bend. It really just depends on what it is we're talking about. Okay. T-Edge1, are you going to do a how we felt about Disney Plus like you did for DC Universe? That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of it, but I might. I've been looking at that service quite a bit, and there's things I like about it, things that I don't, and there wouldn't be nearly as much to say as we did about DC Universe, but that could happen. That's a good idea for a video, and thanks for the suggestion. I don't know why I didn't think of that, because I forgot that we did that with that. So it says there's 3 streams listed. Okay, so every one of those got connected, but OBS told me they didn't. That's really interesting. So I'm going to get rid of those. Let me fix that. You guys just get to watch me house clean right now. Thanks so much for coming back, everybody. It's good to see you, or at least lots of folks. Let's see. Josh Gilsano, that's a name I don't recognize. Welcome, good to see you. $2 super chat, thank you. Thoughts on Spectacular Spider-Man? I've talked about this before. I've seen the first season. It's been a really long time. I loved it, of course. I thought it was some of the most sophisticated Spider-Man that we've had on screen. That art style surprisingly grew on me. I hated it when I first saw it in the previews, and then it works remarkably well with that material. And there's a lot of really great character drama in that show. I just haven't watched it in a long time, so I can't speak much to it. And I've never seen the second season, and I need to sit down and do that soon. I had somebody in the last stream from last week complain that I haven't done that yet, and I've just got to decide if I'm going to wait until I do a rewind on it, because I would like to do a rewind on that show, or if I'm just going to finally go ahead and watch through it and maybe do a quick off the cuff video. I've been doing more of those lately. I've been enjoying that. Those have been people have been interested in those, and they've been doing fine. So there was a time where I was worried it was a little bit too self-indulgent and that I just wasn't polished enough. Just sit in a chair for half an hour and talk about a thing, and people don't seem to mind it, and I mean that's what I'm doing right now too, and so I'm not saying I want to do that in lieu of rewinds, but I can certainly talk about more stuff in case I never get to a rewind on it. And so that way, by just taking a look at it and talking very unplanned and off the cuff and casually about a thing. And, I like doing the raw blog style thing at the same time as I also like doing the, polished, more professional looking stuff. Let's see. Helljumper, any plans to review Logan? Of course, that'll be a rewind at some point down the road, naturally, and expect that one to be a long one. I'm going to have a lot to say about that. That cycle reviewer, I think Spectacular Spider-Man's art style works really well for Green Goblin for some reason. That's true. I agree with that too. It's just because it's real stylistic and also really simple. It seems like the more you try to do with Green Goblin, the worse it gets. I am not seeing any more of those streams so far, but when I do, I will delete them. I will find them! Carl Maxey, Captain Logan after the next Star Wars movie, will you plan on doing an in-depth review of episode 1 to 9 in a single review? No, don't really have any plans on doing that. It's kind of a fun notion, but that would take forever. I've done some videos like that where I've gone through a series of movies. And I've done that in a long time. We used to do those a little bit when we had the Omnibus. I think Eric and I did maybe 2 or 3 of those. He did it with Mission Impossible. I did it with Halloween with Eric. And I think and I also did it with Nightmare on Elm Street. Now that I think about it, those were fun, and I might do that again at some point with something else, but probably not something quite as major and popular as Star Wars. Cycle reviewer, super random question: have you ever seen the show Dexter? Who is a good actor that could play Dexter if it wasn't Michael H. Hall? I'm not sure what you mean if you did a reboot or something. Yeah, I don't know who. I don't know who I would bring in to play that. Hall is amazing. It's a great show. I love that show. I have seen all of it, and obviously I had the same thing that most people do, which is it really falls off around season 4. Although I like that season more than a lot of people did. And then I haven't thought about this in a long time. I had this weird thing with the finale where I got all the way to almost the very end. It was like, this isn't great, but I don't know why people hate it so much. And the last 15 seconds of that episode, just kill it and practically kill the whole series. But definitely the first 3 especially are really worth going back to and taking a look at. What else? I can see your pixels. I need more Hobgoblin. I love Hobgoblin, absolutely. Mutale, have you seen Charles Angels? No, I didn't see that. Just didn't look like a thing I would like, so I didn't go bother with it. Let's see. Anthony Cesaro, I just realized means no more Ultimate Spider-Man reviews. Yeah, I want to finish that series, and I will either wait and do it when Dan's got time and have him come in, or I'll just knock out the rest of them by myself. But I do want to get to that, and if I do it on my own, I can probably knock it out a lot faster. But I would hate that because Eric brought so much to that, of course. But I do want to finish those. So let's see, what else? G-Stone, will they recast Superman to match Pattinson's Batman? I doubt it. I would assume that at least for a while, for, say, a trilogy, they'll want that to kind of stand on its own and not cross over much into other DC material. I could see there being a little bit of it, but for the most part, I would think that would want to be kind of a standalone Batman universe. Malik, I'm actually looking forward to the channel going in a more solo direction. Oh, thanks, man. Because hopefully it means we'll get more scripted reviews. There's rewind requests I made nearly a year ago. Sorry about that. I can't possibly go any faster than 1 a week. And I was doing 1 a week for 4 weeks, and then I wrote one for a 5th week, but then I got that kidney stone and I wasn't able to finish it. And that's the next thing I need to do. And so I can't promise weekly, but I certainly can't promise more than weekly. And yeah, Malik's got several reviews in the can, and I really appreciate all your support, buddy. And all those reviews will happen. It's just a matter of time. I'm going to get to those as soon as humanly possible. There's some other folks that have some paid requests that I need to get to as well. Malik has a couple of really long ones that are going to take a while to get rolling on, and I hate that I put them off. But I didn't want to, go 3 months working on one review, which at least one of those is liable to take, so I gotta figure out how to get other ones in there as well as much as I can. So yeah, all I can say is you're right, going in a solo direction will make it easier to get rolling on those, and here in the next couple of weeks I'm gonna be getting back to a regular schedule on that. I'm also catching up on some off-the-cuff requests, which is part of why I haven't gotten that done yet. But also, this last week, I expected to recover faster than I did. I was really optimistic about that. I thought Wednesday I would go back after the surgery, and I had to do a stint. I thought getting the stint out, I would just kind of immediately be back to normal. I wasn't. There was recovery that had to happen after that as well. And I'm only just today able to kind of act normally. Get into a normal routine, I should say. Because before I was going crazy, but now I'm normal. Today I actually was able to leave the house for a lengthy amount of time and go do some stuff and get some Christmas shopping done and things like that. I've really been laid up all week, and last night or yesterday I was finally able to get up and start making some videos, but I still wasn't able to do a whole lot more besides that. And today I've been much closer to normal, so that's wonderful, and I'm very excited about it, and I don't know why I'm talking like this. David22, $5 super chat. Cap, I got your Netflix pitch. Kansas man. It's about you podcasting, raising a family, and writing. If you use it, I will watch. That's interesting. So you're just saying, like, make like a day in the life kind of documentary about myself and my life. I don't think my wife would appreciate a constant camera crew walking around the house. And I don't know if anybody would watch that show. That sounds more like a really self-indulgent YouTube show, but that could be interesting. It would be really difficult to be yourself if you constantly had a camera crew, right? Like, I think it's always really important when you're talking about reality TV or even just documentary filmmaking that people are always different when they know there's a camera there, subconsciously. A lot of people don't do it on purpose, but unless it's a candid camera, there's always a different element that a camera brings to real life, right? And so, you'd be on your best behavior, or at least you'd try to be. And even if you weren't, even if you made mistakes, people might see glimpses of the person that you really are, but when you don't think anybody's watching, you're not the same. And that's not me saying that, like, I'm a crazy person and, like, when I'm not on camera, you guys can't even imagine the insane life that I lead and all the nutso things I do. But would you really be seeing the real me is kind of the question I have, and I always think that's kind of interesting. AMC Comics, hey Cap, hello! Do you feel that the McAvoy-Fassbender era of X-Men movies gets a little shortchanged as they came out during the MCU, kind of got overshadowed by the likes of Deadpool and Logan? Yeah, I do think that. I think that's true. I think there's a pocket, and it's not a small pocket, of people that love those movies, and especially the first two, and when people talk about them, they seem to talk about them very fondly, but I do run into a lot of people that have never seen Days of Future Past, and I'm like, that's a friggin' crime. Like, Days of Future Past is every bit as good as the best of Marvel movies, except for maybe Winter Soldier, and a lot of people haven't seen it. But then at the same time, there's a lot of baggage with those. And, the X-Men movies were very popular, and then it kind of fell off to where people couldn't keep up with them because they were, retconning constantly, and they just stopped being good really quickly, and so people lost interest in them. And First Class was brilliant in being a soft reboot and in being kind of under the radar, right? Like, there wasn't a huge advertising campaign for that. It was kind of a sleeper thing, and people went and saw it because it looked intriguing. And it was sort of like Batman Begins, where it seemed a little bit worried that nobody was going to care, so it didn't make a big deal out of itself. It tried to just make a really quality thing, put it out, hope people would watch it, hope word of mouth happened, and that did happen. But because that was handled as more of a word of mouth thing, I think that's part of why it didn't get that kind of Marvel traction. And Dark Knight may have been that way as well if it weren't for the Joker and how high profile just somebody else playing that and playing it so differently and taking so many risks, that was. I think that was as high profile as it was because of the Joker. And Days of Future Past, much more high profile than First Class because it bridged that gap and brought in the original actors, but still never to the kind of degree of publicity that the MCU movies en masse tend to get. Let me check and make sure I haven't missed any super chats. I have not. Once again, if there's any super chats from earlier that I missed, please let me know about it. And I'm trying really hard to read all of these comments. Chewbacca's Lover, have you heard of the 2000s unmade Watchmen film? It took place in modern day and replaced the Cold War politics with Middle Eastern themes. I don't remember it. I don't remember a mention of Middle Eastern themes. What I read was that, or was this even a late 90s thing? Maybe we're talking about two different projects. What I read was about one that was set in modern day, but replaced the Cold War stuff with eco stuff. It was an environmental message, but maybe those are the same project. I'm not sure. Hi, David Crabtree. Hey, Cap, have you checked out the newest season of Toys That Made Us? I just watched it this past week. I've only watched half of it. I watched the first two episodes in Turtles and Power Rangers, which were the ones I cared about. I will watch the other two because that's a great show, but they're just not immediately things that I have a connection with. So they also did wrestling, and the other one they did, I think, is My Little Pony, or is it something else? I don't remember. But yeah, I haven't watched the other two. Both the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers episodes are great, and I think they are every bit as good or better than anything they made in the first season. I think they get a ton done in both of those, and if you are a Ninja Turtles fan at all and know anything about Eastman and Laird, that episode has the potential to make you cry at the end. It has such a touching ending. It's just wonderful. And the history in that is great. I was a little bit frustrated that with a lot of those in the first season, that we focus so hard on 87 and then kind of just skim over everything else. The Power Rangers one is worse for that because it doesn't even talk about the movies, which is really strange. Like Ninja Turtles at least gets into that a little bit, and why there wasn't a line for the first movie, but then there was after that. Power Rangers just kind of forgets there's a movie. It's weird, and but all the stuff about with Power Rangers about the Sentai and about Bandai and how Stan Lee really wanted tokusatsu to take hold in America and kind of had that idea or that dream years before, and it finally worked out decades later. That's all really interesting and cool, and I recommend that show wholeheartedly to everybody. What else? Batman, what would your ideal Spawn movie reboot look like? How much involvement should McFarlane have with the project? McFarlane should bankroll it and let somebody else write it and then maybe storyboard it. Like, he's a visual guy and he's my favorite artist, so he should be involved in the visual department. McFarlane should get to decide how a great story gets presented on screen, but he should have nothing to do whatsoever with crafting that story or with making that dialogue. For me, the perfect Spawn movie is actually the one he pitched, but not with him having any direct involvement with crafting the story, because McFarlane's an idea guy and he's got great ideas, but he doesn't know how to implement them because he's not a story guy and he's not a fiction guy. I've always said this, but you can't not read fiction and write it. It just doesn't work. McFarlane doesn't understand basic tenets of storytelling, and it doesn't look like he's ever going to. He always said that his movie, and maybe we'll see it someday, was supposed to be from humanizing characters. At one time I thought Sam and Twitch, but now apparently just Twitch, which is really weird. Like, yeah, let's not give him anybody to talk to, let's not have that. But you have Spawn in the back, kind of lurking in the background as sort of like a horror character, and all of the celestial stuff, all the heaven and hell stuff is behind the scenes, and the characters that you're actually following are humanizing characters. I always loved that idea. I always loved the idea of doing a more minimalistic Spawn movie. And so that's what I'd love to see with it. I'd love to see just a crime thriller, just kind of a rough and tumble crime thriller with Spawn in the background, or a vignette film. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do with Spawn, just kind of because McFarlane's best stuff that he wrote was just Spawn kind of on a road trip, walking around, not even a road trip, like just a trip walking around. He comes into a town, it's almost like a Western sort of thing, right? Like, he comes into a town and he sees some kind of injustice and he stops it and then he moves on. And he does that to various degrees of success, but McFarlane's not good at crafting an ongoing narrative and with establishing and keeping consistent mythology. And his best stuff is just when he does little short stories. So there's my favorite issue 29, where Spawn goes up against a guy who beats his children, and that still unnerves me to this day. And I read it when I was a kid in school. A kid brought it to school. I was lucky I didn't get in trouble reading that. And then this one's not as good, but then there's one where he goes into a town and deals with the KKK. Those kinds of issues were always better than the big, mythology-heavy issues that were always just really convoluted, and he couldn't stop, constantly retconning them. And I think a movie could do that really well. Anyway, I don't know why I'm still talking about this. Chewbacca's Lover, the Watchmen script I'm talking about was from 05 or 04, and it was based on Bush's foreign policy. It had Dr. Manhattan toppling Middle Eastern dictators. I'm glad that didn't get made. I didn't know about that. Tim Johnson, hi, Captain Logan. Hello. What is your other new channel that you have been posting episodes of Morphin called? I haven't been. We've been talking about doing that. We want to do a Morphin channel. I want to kind of hold off for right now and see how this COPPA thing turns out, because I don't think now is the time to make a new channel that could also get hit with this is it for kids or not thing. Because if I have to toggle all those videos for kids, nobody will be able to see it. So now's not really the time to do that, but I would like to do that in the not too distant future, and then try to finish Morphin DJ and I have been talking about that forever. If he's got the time to do it, I certainly am game and would like to do that. What else? G Stone, I want a live-action Hercules musical from Disney with Chris Pratt as Hercules. I don't know if Pratt's who I would cast, but that's a thing that I think is probably inevitable. They're doing it with nearly everything else. Mulan looks cool, and I hope that it is. I really like that it's not a musical. I really like that it just looks like a kind of classic, old-school samurai movie. It looks like they're taking it very seriously, and that's exciting. G-Stone, my favorite Spawn issue is Alan Moore's Hell issue. Yeah, it's pretty trippy, isn't it? It's not as good as the Morrison stuff, but also Morrison got 3 issues, so. David Crabtree, I just started reading Spawn from the beginning. Yeah, so finger painting. Yeah, finger painting. Still not real into popsicles. Oh, hey, you guys want to see something? I just thought I've got it right over here. Give me just a second. He mentioned Spawn, and this is related to the issue he's talking about. And this is a Spawn-Year thing. And some of you guys will have seen this, but it'll be a long time. You guys might enjoy this. Let me go grab something. This is one of the many props that Jeremy Pierce made for me for Spawn-Year. So Pierce made the 10-pound Link-Tech Spawn suit that we had, and he got really into it and just kept making stuff. And I didn't ask him to make most of these things. I asked him for a battle axe, I needed that, and I asked him for the staff that the Coke Angel carries, and of course we needed the Coke Redeemer suit. But he kept making little props that I didn't have any particular plans for, but decided to work in because he spent so much time detailing them. And so this is the Billy Kincaid teddy bear. And again, if you've seen Spawn-Year, you've probably seen this if you watched all through it. But isn't this just insane and gruesome? But I love it too. So he made this look like Billy Kincaid stabbed to death with popsicle sticks, like in issue 5, and it's got and I love his handwriting. I love how he did this. It's got the note pinned to him that says boy screamed and girl screamed, so I made him scream and scream and scream and scream. And that's Spawn getting his justice on Billy Kincaid for killing children in an ice cream truck. And in that Spawn-Year episode, I talked about how it didn't seem real plausible that you could actually murder a person with popsicle sticks. Like, I don't know if he killed him really brutally in some other way and then stuck them in later, or if this is actually how he died, but it's supposed to look like an irony, And so if you think about it for any amount of time, it totally falls apart, but it was quite a provocative image. The paint has dried such that it doesn't look as bloody as it used to, but this is such a cool prop, and I've hung on to it for a long time. If you, Daniel Davis says, "Oh bother," that's hilarious. If you go back and watch the movie version of Spawn-Year, the very last episode, There is, and I don't know if everybody actually watched all the way to the end, but there is an after credit scene, and the after credit scene is Jason, and at that time he was like 5, walks all the way through my old house, all the way downstairs, goes into the Spawn prop room, picks up this teddy bear, walks back to bed, and goes to bed and sleeps with it, which was an idea I had for a long time, really wanted to work in somewhere, and this was already on the set. We did some things with this, but we end with it because it was just such a cool prop. So yeah, isn't this insane? There are Rockman, just show that bear in your video as Kappa safe. That's true. This should just be in the background of every video where it's like, yeah, see, we don't make stuff for children. Yeah, we just talked about the latest Lego Batman thing, but you know, it's not for children. Yeah, we're talking about superhero girls, but look at this. So anyway, that's it's one of my favorite things I own now. There's a part of me that always wanted to give away or auction off some of the Spawn Year props, and just have not been able to bring myself to get rid of any of them, because that was such a grueling time in my life, but also a really rewarding project. I can see your pixels. It just needs the chains. Yeah, but well, that's true. I guess it did have chains on it. Yeah, he could have done that. Cinematographic. Well, that's disturbing. Yeah, but isn't it great? Isn't it great? There though. A Psycho Reviewer C. We're not for kids. Look at the bear. Look at the bear. Are you excited for Pixar's new film next year, Onward and Soul? I haven't seen much on that, so like I want to be, but I don't know much about that one yet. Okay, I'm starting to fade. It's getting pretty late, so I'm gonna go ahead and get going here in a minute. Real quick, if there's anything else that somebody left earlier as a super chat and I didn't see it, please go ahead and drop it real quick, or anything major you really want to ask about. I'll stay here for just a couple of minutes and look at comments, but I hope you guys had a good time. This was a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting this kind of turnout. You guys are great. Thanks so much for popping in, and like I said, I have the ability now, because I don't have somebody living in my basement, and it's a big house, I'm not going to bother anybody, to do late night stuff like this. So even adding that new show that is probably going to replace After Dark, and do an After Dark like show live for just Patreon. I will also occasionally probably do more things like this. So don't think, if you're not a patron, that you're not going to get cool random impromptu things, because I will try to do these every now and again. I don't know how often, but sometimes I'll try to pop in and do this with you guys, especially because there seems to be some interest. Obviously, I don't want to oversaturate it. If I'm constantly doing this, people probably won't pop in, but if we do it every now and again, maybe we'll have some viewers. But I just really enjoy talking to you guys, and what I do is a whole lot of fun, and as long as there's interest, I'll keep doing it. Bob the Hun, do you think the 2019 Joker film will be as big a game changer as Dark Knight or Iron Man? Do you think it will have an effect on how comic book films are made from now on, for better or worse? It's a really good question. I think it will. What I'm hoping it does, of course, is it has people looking at comic material and making more subtle, nuanced, just stories that don't have to be in the same formula as, regular superhero movies. What I hope the lesson is not taken from that, I don't know if that's a sentence. The lesson I hope is not taken from that is that we need to make carbon copies of Joker. That, dark sells, creepy and unnerving sells. That was all appropriate for that character. But if you make a movie that's not necessarily a superhero movie, but in a superhero universe about some other character that's not necessarily a costume character, or is about a villain or something, it doesn't have to be that tone. And so I hope that's not the lesson that we take from it. The bigger question for me is whether Disney will learn anything from it. Is that company going to continue playing it safe and, by and large, kind of, I don't want to say that they make the exact same movie every time, like a lot of people do, but there is a house style at the very least, and there is still a superhero formula that very often we kind of follow to a T. And might they take some risks and try some smaller things and make movies with smaller budgets that still have a chance at getting to $1 billion? I mean, that's a win-win for everybody, right? You do smarter, more sophisticated stories with more character dimension and that are more character driven, and you challenge us a little bit. You make them not all the same story and not all the same formula, and they appeal to different audiences, and maybe they don't even always appeal to a big massive audience, and they still have it, and they don't cost that much to make, and they still have a chance at making a lot of money and being really profitable. But yeah, still seeing lots of random comments, but I'm going to go ahead and have to get going. Thanks a lot for being here, everybody. Once again, hope you had a good time. Sorry about the technical issues earlier, but I'm glad we were able to come back and finish the stream, or do like a part deux of the stream. And I will see you again next week for the Captain Logan Show. It's going to be Thursday night at 7 Central. And hopefully some folks are able to make it. The show we did a couple of weeks ago on Thursday, we didn't have much of a turnout for. And I don't know if Thursday is just a bad day or if it was just that week. But we'll see how it goes. That is an easier day for DJ, and so that's why we moved it to that day. So hopefully Thursdays are okay for folks, and we'll see what kind of a turnout we have this week. And I will try to do an after show that night and start this crazy Patreon after show thing. So if you're not currently a patron and you want to stick around with me for longer that evening, just $2 a month, you can become a patron, and that's all you got to do for that, just at the bottom tier. And that will also give you the ability to ask questions, even if you can't make it to that show, that I may answer or may talk about on that show. So anyway, you guys are great. Thanks so much for being here. Rockman, you also have a good night. And I appreciate everybody. I can see your pixels. Sleep well, Cap, and everyone. That's right. Everybody sleep well. And I'll see you again next time. You guys are great. Thanks a bunch. Bye, everybody. I can't see my cursor.